How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to talk about The Alters. This game hits all the right spots for me, so it's going to get a little bit of extended coverage. In this video, we are going to talk about the story, the game mechanics, and we're going to have a discussion about the technical aspects of this game because it's made with Unreal Engine 5, which is my domain. So let's get started. So the story of The Alters is something that I really like and appreciate because I like more of that gritty sci-fi story as opposed to the more magical alien talking sci-fi kind of story. This one is a little bit more grounded, even though it includes a lot of out of this world, literally elements, but it's also more dedicated towards the character. A good comparison for this would be something like The Walking Dead. So in The Walking Dead, there was this zombie apocalypse going on, but the focus of the show was not to resolve the zombie apocalypse, but how were the people surviving, like interactions between each person and all the other characters with other groups. That was the interesting part about The Walking Dead. Same thing here, and in my opinion, this is kind of the focus of 11-bit games is they focus more on the personal aspect of survival as opposed to like beating these giant enemy or whatnot. Is more about like the human aspect of survival. Another interesting thing about this story is the fact that your character is your average guy. So usually when it comes to sci-fi stories, you see like it's a decorated soldier, or it's this scientist that knows it all, or is this fantastic detective. John Dolsky is pretty much your average guy that just signed up for a mission that went in disarray. And he had to jump into a leadership position, not knowing many things. And that's one of the reasons why you have to get the alters. So the alters are other versions of John Dolsky that contribute to the survival and contribute a lot to the story and how it is told. And yes, along the game, he grows, but he is never like this superhuman or somebody that knows it all. He is always somebody very relatable because, again, he's just an average guy that was tossed in a horrible situation after signing for a mission. And you can also see aspects of his life in the quantum computer. We'll talk about that in a second. I just thought that was a very cool way to talk about the backstory of the character. It's something that you have to get into, and that is what involves all these alternative paths that you would have taken in life. Now let's talk a little bit about gameplay. So let's talk about gameplay. When it comes to gameplay, this is it is more of a managing game, but it's also a survival game. And I'm not a fan of survival games, especially because of the whole stamina bar. I could make a whole video about the stamina bar issue. But in this one, you don't have a stamina bar, thank God. Now you have to gather resources. You do get exhausted, but you don't get exhausted by doing things. You get exhausted by the passage of time, which I think is the most important resource that you need to manage in this game. Like in real life, time is not infinite in this game. You can adjust past time however much you like. There are things that come with the passage of time. One of the things is actually saving. You save your game by sleeping. Although there was a post on X by the developer recently that they are actually going to add a new way of saving so you don't rely only on sleeping, because when you sleep, you go into the next day. And as the day passes, there is the sun coming in that's going to bring all sorts of problems, which are sometimes random. I'm on my second playthrough, actually. And yeah, I think these issues that happen every now and then are just at random. And that's one of the beauties of 11-bit games, is that you may be surviving, you may be thinking everything is cool, but all of a sudden something happens, something like a magnetic storm or something breaks in your base. And my first playthrough, I did not have all the resources and all the stuff to mitigate this disaster. And it was just horrible. Like recovering from that took me such a long time. And with the passage of time, there comes the sun that also reduces the amount of time that you can be out. Now, the other main game mechanics, apart from managing time, is your altars. So, like I said in the beginning, your character is a nobody. The only thing that he is good for is pretty much exploration. That's the only thing he does. But he's not a specialist. He's supposed to be a builder, but he's not like an actual specialist on anything. So you need other people to do other things. So, for instance, the first altar that you get, that is kind of like an obligatory part of the game. So the technician, he helps you fix the base. You cannot fix any about the base without him, and the story doesn't progress until he comes up. Then it comes to the other altars. Another altar it's necessary for the story to progress, and I'm going to talk about this in a little bit later. All of the altars that you get, aside from having cool backstory and something different about what happened to Jan during his life, they also have traits. Like they have bonuses to doing certain tasks. And even though they can do absolutely every task just like Jan, they have this bonus that if you put them in a specific task, that task will be completed more efficiently. And that's why I say that Jan is good for nothing, because there is no bonus that he has to absolutely any task other than exploring. The other part of the game, and I think it's a big part of the game, is managing your altars. So their backstories carry over some way. They all seem to have like a terrible thing happen in their life, and you have to manage that with the fact that you just woke them up in this situation, and that is horrible. That's a great part of the story, by the way. Something that I forgot to mention in the beginning is the fact that you are waking up this whole other person with different memories, but still has your DNA. So it is you. That person may have gone through something different in their life that may have impacted them, not only psychologically, but physically. And then you created them with your DNA. That means they have your body, and whatever thing they went through in life is no longer there, and it's going to be missing. And you're going to see, like, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you're going to see when you interact with these altars, it's super interesting to see like what it would be if you create another version of yourself that lived a completely different life because you make another type of decision in the past, but they still have your body. So that's something that you have to wrestle with, and you have to kind of like managing them in a way that they're happy, but they're also contributing. Because again, I don't want to spoil anything, but all I say is the way that I was managing one of my altars led him to die. And I know that sounds horrible, but that's one of the good things about this game is it has consequences. And if you don't manage things correctly, and by correctly, I don't mean you have to or you should be the good guy all the time. There are times where you need to not be the good guy for the good of the mission. Otherwise, somebody dies. And if that altar dies, you cannot get him back. Like, there's no way that the computer can like redo that altar. So you're down one altar. Now, out of all the 11-bit studios games that I've played, I would say this one is the easiest to get into. The tutorials are a bit more thorough than in previous games. And I'd say it'll be the better game for anyone that isn't familiar with their games. This is the one to get into if you'd like to play some of the games. I'm pretty sure that once you pick this one up, you'll want to play something like This War of Mine. That game is amazing. It's very crude, but it's awesome. It's just a game like you haven't seen before. So I highly recommend you check that out after you check the altars. I always, for these types of games, same thing happened to me in Frostpunk. The first playthrough, it's horrible. It's horrible because I'm learning the mechanics and I'm not planning. In these types of games, you have to plan. Since time is the most important thing, you have to plan your whole day before you go to sleep. If you just do stuff without planning, there will come a point where something will go wrong and you will not be prepared and everything will go to hell. All right, so let's talk about the technical aspect. This game is made with Unreal Engine 5. It's actually made with 5.2, which is several versions behind what we currently have. Right now, we're in version 5.6. So that means that by now they're using an older version. Using an older version means the game is much stable, and it shows. The game, I only experienced one crash, and that crash was when I was exiting the game. So actually nothing happened. I went back into the game to make sure everything got saved, and everything got saved. So that pretty much, that crash didn't affect anything. Other than that, performance has been great. I'm running the game at everything ultra with TSR on. I know some people don't like TSR, but I think it works pretty well here. You can also run it with DLSS. And overall, I haven't seen any problems, any issues with the game's performance wise. There's a couple of issues that I do have with the models, but those are because I think I notice them more than your average gamer, since I am a 3D artist and I work in Unreal so much. One of those issues is the weight mapping of Jan when he's not wearing a full suit. So as you can see here, when he bends the elbow, it kind of looks like a straw that gets squished. Probably like it's missing the bones that actually hold the geometry once you do that position with your character. Then there's also something that caught my eye was the hair of the scientist. You can see it's kind of low poly, and we'll talk more about this when we get to look into the model, which is going to come into the next video. So that's why you should subscribe. Make sure that you ring that bell so you are up to date when that video comes out, because we are going to be looking into the full models like we usually do on this channel. But yeah, the way that the alphas are working here in the hair cards, it's a little bit different. I think something is missing there. I don't know if they're adding the normals and roughness maps, or maybe there's something up with the shader. I don't know, but it's just this is something that was very apparent just with the scientist. The other characters, to me, they look fine. Other than that, the GI and the lighting effects and everything looked amazing. It was pretty interesting that they were using the full character creator pipeline as opposed to having the metahuman DNA. The metahumans are the Unreal Engine solution of having full-blown realistic humans with the capacity of motion capture, not only for face, but for body. We've had some video on this channel how to do facial motion capture. If you're interested in that, link will be in the description. You can do your own motion capture completely free. You can do it yourself with any phone, any camera. It's pretty fun. Now I'm going to mention a very light spoiler here. It's not a big deal because it's on almost every review, but in case you want to go like with 0% of knowledge of this game, then that'll be the end for this video. Just remember to like and subscribe. Now, for those of you who stayed, when it comes to the scientist, he is a must to progress the story. So you pretty much have two altars slot, because you have certain amount of slots. You cannot unlock every single altar. You have certain amount of altars that you can unlock, and those two slots will always be taken by the technician, which is part of the tutorial, and the scientist, which is a must to progress the story. So this is where I would like a mode where Jan comes out with some certain traits that will have you not necessarily have the scientist there, because the technician is already baked into the tutorial, the cutscenes and all that. But the scientist you can bring, you need him, but you can bring him at any point later. The reason why I say you need him is because in order to progress an act, you have to use the scientist. There is no scenario where you play the altars without the science, as far as I know. It'll be nice if you can kind of like have a little bit of more of a choice, because in previous 11-bit games, they'll completely give you the choice to decide however you want to survive. Whether you do or not is on you, but they always give you the choice and freedom. I think they kind of took away that little bit of freedom in this game. But other than that, I highly recommend you check it out. I love it. I want to see more games like this, and I want to see more of the altars. I know there's DLC planned. Very curious as to what that's going to be. We're going to have more coverage of this game, so we're going to look at models. We're also going to be looking at another thing that we haven't had in the channel before, which is taking a look at whole levels of this game. Make sure you leave a like and leave a comment. There's a thank you button if you want to buy me a cup of coffee just to support the channel. Otherwise, leaving a comment and just leaving a like goes a long way. Thank you so much for watching all the way till this point. I'll see you in the next one.